Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Run, Try, Bike Fiery Embers show. This is one of 7 shows on our Everyday Athlete podcast network that you can find in any place that you get podcasts, which include Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Today, I am going to be joined by a very special guest, Jennifer Comfort. She has been on our Fiery Embers show before. She has also been on our Fireside Chat and has had a feature on our website. And before I bring her on, I will tell you this. I consider Jen to be a friend. I consider her to be one of the people that had a pivotal moment in the history of the Run, Try, Bike company when I interviewed her for her feature on our website. And she made me think about how much our audience trusts us. And that has been something that has sat with me probably for a year now, maybe a little bit longer. And then there's the other part of it, the humorous side, which I cannot wait to bring her on and talk about, which was when we had her on our Fireside Chat, we asked her what would be her last meal before blasting off into space, headed towards Mars with Matt Damon. And her answer was wheat thins. So I cannot wait to bring Jennifer on. Maybe that answer has changed in the past year. Let's find out. Hey, Jennifer, how are you?
I'm so good, thank you.
I hope you're laughing about the wheat thins comment.
I didn't even think I wasn't even trying to be funny, but now that I hear you saying it again, it's kind of funny.
It may be the most iconic moment of all the food questions we have ever asked. We've done 113 episodes of the Fireside Chat, and I think 20 plus episodes of Fiery Embers. And to this day, that is still the answer that cracks me up. Most people are like steak, potatoes, which is what I was expecting from you. And you're like, wheat thins.
Just being real.
That's right. And then I think the second time we chatted, you said you had a different answer because your daughter, I believe, said to you, "Mom, wheat thins? Like really?" And then your second answer, I wish I could remember it, was I got to be honest with you, not much better. Do you remember what it was?
I think it was animal crackers, wasn't it?
Yes.
And not even the frosted ones. I just want the plain Costco animal crackers. I stand by it.
Hey, if that's what you love, that's what you love, and you should eat it whenever you want.
Love the carbs.
So, hey, the reason why you're on this show today is because you sent me a message on Instagram, and I want to let people know the impact that this question had on me because I have not stopped thinking about it for, I think it's going on 3 weeks now. Mm-hmm. And the question you asked me was, how do I keep space open for everybody else? And so for people who don't understand, what she was asking me was, we interview a lot of people, we talk to a lot of people, we hear a lot of stories, we empathize, we sympathize, we share our stories with them, but that doesn't leave a lot of space for ourselves, is what she was getting at. And I want to turn the tables on you and ask you that same question, because you are a coach, which means you have athletes who are going through life. You are a mother, which means you have children that are going through life. You are a human being, which means you are going through life. So how do you, as a coach, manage to keep space open for your athletes, as a mom, for your kids, and for anything else that you have going on in life?
It's such a good question still, even for myself. And I think I asked you out of honest curiosity. And to be honest, I was struggling with it when I asked you myself. I got to a point where I was holding space for everybody else and honestly not for myself. And I think it's a balance, and it's not always going to be balanced. I don't expect it to always be balanced, but I got to a point where it wasn't. And it's taken the past few weeks to kind of recalibrate that a little bit. Personally, meditation works for me. And I do it in the morning and in the night, and sometimes multiple times throughout the day if I have to or need to. But I'd even gone away from that, and it's very simple meditation. Sometimes just some breath work or 10 breaths. And I also use the app 10% Happier, not sponsored. I love that app. Dan Harris is wonderful. meditation for fidgety skeptics. And so also holding space for others. I think just carving out, in addition to meditation, just kind of some quiet time. Reading really helps me. So I guess just finding some presence, and then my workouts too. I love to train. I like to exercise. And sometimes that works better in life than other times. And I've just kind of recommitted to that right now.
100%. And I told you this in my response to you, that there are moments where I just have to set aside life. The world is exploding around me, and there's a due date here and a due date there, and things are happening. And sometimes you just have to walk away and just get to be in a space by yourself. And oftentimes it's a quiet space. Meditate is obviously a great way to do it. Swimming for me has become a bigger part of my training. And what I have found is that in swimming is when I find a lot of calm and quiet, because there's no distraction other than the black line on the bottom of the pool. There's no phone in my pocket. There's no headphones in my ears. There's no cars around me. If people are talking to me, I can't hear them, right? And so it just kind of shuts out the world. And so for me, swimming has become another space for me to do that. And then lastly, talking to people like you, in all honesty. Yes, it's a thing I have to do. It becomes another thing in a sense, but getting to talk to people creates an opportunity for me to learn. So you just talked to me about meditation and workouts. I interviewed Sho Gray from Topo Athletic this morning. He's a sponsored athlete. We're doing a series with him. And he said, sometimes you have to fight and sometimes you have to dance. And it's not always going to be the same between the two of them, 50-50, that is. And that resonated with me. And so getting the chance to talk to people from all walks of life. Sho is Japanese, living in Knoxville, Tennessee, right? I'm Puerto Rican, born in the Bronx and living in LA. So people from all different walks of life get to experience different things, and we get to talk about them. And I think that's just absolutely amazing. You're in Eastern Washington, right? And that's a completely different scenario from where I am today. And it's cool to get to learn and hear from you. One of the things I do want to talk to you about and learn from you about is the Ironman 70.3. The days are counting down really fast to this event. And I know you've been a major part of it. How is that going?
It's going so well, actually. We're approaching we meaning Ironman. It's almost sold out at this point. They'll probably release numbers in the next week or two. So far, the community seems to be behind it, and we're still, garnering support. Have a volunteer meeting. That might be tonight. I better check on that. But it's just the energy around it. It's such, we're kind of in this used to be tiny place in southeastern Washington state, but we do have some really natural beauty here. And we have, the confluence of 3 rivers, and we have roads and good weather and lots of sunshine. And it's going really well. And I couldn't be more thrilled to share this area with other people. So yeah, so far so good.
Awesome. So let's pretend we're actually racing this triathlon. So we're nervous. We pee in our wetsuits. We jump in the water. We swim 1.2 miles. We get out. We get on the bike. And now we have, nutrition that we have to take care of so we can ride 56 miles as fast and as hard as we can. I'm going to give you 3 foods to consume on the bike. 3 food options. 1 you eat, 1 you toss, and 1 you carry to the later on in the cycling part of the race. Are you ready? Okay. So the first food choice is going to be wheat thins, since you seem to be a big fan of those. The second choice is going to be a Snickers bar. Remember, it's September, so it's going to be hot in Washington, might melt and get all over your jersey. And then the last thing is going to be a Ziploc bag filled with mashed potatoes. Which of these 3 are you going to eat? Which of the 3 will you toss? And which of the 3 will you carry to the next aid station?
Okay, I think I have it. I can't believe you mentioned Snickers, because I have a story about that, but I'll answer your question first so I don't get off track. Okay, so it is going to be warm. So if I can I freeze the Snickers bar the night before?
Why does everybody want to change the rules on the game that I announce?
Okay, let's pretend it's frozen. Awesome. So because I really want to eat that Snickers, I want it, but it might get melted. So I'm gonna go with Snickers first, and if I'm not allowed to freeze it, then I'll eat it the first mile on the bike if I have to. And then I'm going to save the wheat thins for a little bit later because that's going to be my treat. And the mashed potatoes are out the door. No. And I like mashed potatoes. They're fine. But wheat thins and Snickers, absolutely.
There are 0 people thinking to themselves, yes, wheat thins as a treat while riding a bike.
I might actually do this in the race now. I'm not joking. You might have just made up my fueling plan for me.
You better make sure you're good at hand-ups because you're going to need liquids to swallow those wheat thins at mile 38 of the bike.
I was just looking at a new hydration system last night, so I better buy that.
All right, so what's the Snickers story?
Snickers story, I was doing my first Ironman in Coeur d'Alene 2010, and it's a hilly course. We're going up the hills, and this guy next to me on a bike is eating a Snickers, and it was my first Ironman. I didn't know you were allowed to eat Snickers because that was unhealthy. He's like, hey, do you want some? And I was like, no. And now I would say, hell yeah, give me some of that.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I think it was my first Ironman Texas. I come through the run special needs bag area, and I shit you not, there is a dude with a Whopper in his hand walking through this aid station. And I was like, look, man, you do you, but I couldn't possibly imagine. I would love to eat a Whopper, but I couldn't possibly imagine one because it's special needs, which means it went there at like 5 a.m. in the morning. It's been sitting in the Texas sun for, at that point, 10 hours, 9 hours. Like that mayonnaise.
Ew.
Oh,
no.
Exactly.
No, just no. Whatever
I've
works.
never seen a bigger smile on an Ironman athlete in the middle of the run portion of the marathon. I tell you that.
So funny.
We got a comment that says dry heave noises listening to that story about the Whopper.
Yeah.
So, but you're also a trail runner and an ultra runner. So what is the strangest thing you've seen consumed on a trail or ultra course? Or what is the strangest thing what people might consider the strangest thing? Let me rephrase.
Every aid station at a race a few months ago.
Why?
Some people probably don't know. I raced an ultra over in Italy, and those aid stations they were so good. They were so, for my perspective from the United States, random. Everything from, there was red wine, there was white wine, there was prosciutto, all kinds of meats and cheeses. I actually had some Parmesan cheese, like just a big chunk of it, and it tasted so good. So Parm cheese, and then I took another cube, and then I was like, okay, I gotta go.
We are doing it wrong in this country for sure.
Those eight, and then also the fresh fruit. That's not weird, but I have never had an orange slice so juicy. It was so good. And then the water, you have bubbly water or regular water. The very first aid station, I was just trying to get in and out. I handed my flask, and I wasn't paying attention, and language barriers, and I already had my electrolytes in my bottle, so they just started pouring water in. It was the bubble water. And so then I'm like, oh my gosh, there goes all my electrolytes. I really needed those.
It's a party now.
Yeah, so then I learned to request just plain water from then on. But I do love sparkling water, just not mixed with my electrolytes during a race.
We clearly need to find a sponsor to send us to Italy, because this story, on top of, I remember listening to the Coop cast years ago, and he talked about racing the Tour de Gens and how he had gotten into a village in Italy, and there was a local pizza shop there, and he had pizza in the middle of this race. And like, that's the only thing I keep thinking about. And now you're telling me about fresh fruit and sparkling water and cheese. Like, I need to go do a race in Italy, clearly. Like, who
You
cares
really
what time I finish in? I'll be DFL as long as I can eat all the food along the way.
Yeah, I almost was DFL. I got it done. But yes, I highly recommend it.
Was the terrain, was it a difficult course, like a lot of climbing, technical? What was the course like?
All of the above. I can 8,500 feet of climbing and technical and wet. And I can't, difficult would be putting it lightly for my abilities on a technical trail. I did another ultra 3 weeks later here in the States, and the same distance I did 4 hours faster here in the States on a flat trail than I did over there.
Wow.
Yeah, so that just is just it's either, but to be honest, the downs for me were way more difficult than the ups. The downs were I was sidestepping and just trying not to break an ankle for hours on end. It was awesome though. I loved it.
But what possessed you to press register on an event in Italy?
Well, I had studied over in Italy in college in Florence, and I hadn't been back since. And I love it so much. And we were at a banquet at Ultraman Canada, and there was an Italian there at my table, and start talking with him. And I was like, "Oh, have you heard of Shaka Trail in Cinque Terre?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course I've heard of it." I was like, "Well, I want to do it." And another lady at the table was like, "Oh, I studied in Italy too. I want to do it too." I was like, "Okay, we're gonna," and it's a lottery, so we're like, we're gonna throw our names in the hat. And sure shit, we got in, and a lot of people don't get in for years on end. And I mean, it really was a matter of like a 30-second conversation, and then all of a sudden, here we are 6 months later racing in Italy at a dream location.
That's
It was
fantastic.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What about you? What races have you done lately?
So I just got back from pacing Ohm, who is one of our co-owners at the Tahoe 200.
Okay.
I paced him, excuse me, from mile 150 to 200. And it was an experience, you know, when you're up there in Tahoe and you're overlooking the lake and it's just gorgeous. And I think one of the things I love about pacing is I don't feel pressure for myself. I'm just out there running, right? Like I'm not really worried about the clock or anything. I have to take care of myself, but my focus is on the athlete. And so being able to focus on Ohm and get him moving and talk to him so that he could hit his goal, it was everything for me. And so that was just, gosh, 10 days ago. We did that. And it was a blast. And so now I'm in this like no man's land, I guess you would say, whether I go back to doing an Ironman or finding another 100-miler to do. But I think right now the idea is to just keep working on my fitness, get consistent, and find a backyard ultra at the end of this year to participate in.
We have, not to interrupt you, but we have one here in September.
Oh, September's too soon. I need October, November.
Oh, no, you can do it. You can do it.
No, here's the thing. So I've done 3 of them already.
Okay.
I've done one in the Texas heat. It was like 110 degrees, like 90% humidity.
Mm-hmm.
I did one in Ouray, Colorado. So you're up at elevation. Mm-hmm. And then I did one at across the years in Arizona. And instead of being the 4-mile, you know, traditional distance, it was 1.2 miles or 1.4 miles in 20 minutes. And so it was slightly different in that sense. And so I've done 50 miles, I've done 50K, and I've done 50K. So I'm trying to work on my mental aspect of it all because as many people who know me, my motto is all gas, no brakes. And I have a hard time when I get to the starting line to dial that back. And you really need to dial that back at a backyard ultra.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The people that are walking for the first 8 hours are the ones that are still going 24 hours later or whatever it is. But
yeah, like for me, I'm like, okay, if I finish this loop in 42 minutes, it gives me 18 minutes to sit around. And then I kind of get bored for 18 minutes. It's like, shit, dude, finish in 48 minutes, 50 minutes, and just have some time. And
yeah.
Have you participated in these and what has been your strategy and would you call it successful?
I participated in the local one for the past 2 years. Put on by Jason Rutherford and Nomads. Shout out to them because they are just fantastic, wonderful people, and that's why I keep going back. Unfortunately, I'm out of town this year for the one here. So the first year, yeah, both years it was kind of, I did it on no training whatsoever. I hadn't run past 10 miles. And I was like, I'm just going to go see what happens. And the first year I lasted 13 hours. And then the second year, last year, I made it 100K. And it was warm and hot, and I had no business running that long, but I love it. I love the format. And you're right. It's a mental game. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's what draws me to them. And I also think this, right? Like when you go to a race, let's say 100K or 100 miles, and a DNF happens, right? You've invested so much in completing that race. Whereas at least at the Backyard Ultra format, there's a really good chance you're not going to be the winner. And so it kind of takes the pressure off from the participation standpoint. I think that's what I need now with the growth of our business. It's been super busy. And like you said, like trying to get, no training for you, like trying to find training time right now is difficult. And so if I can get to a Backyard Ultra, I'd be thrilled to do that.
Yeah.
So I want to be respectful of your time. We've got about 10 minutes to go, and you know how much I love food. And so I want to ask you about food choices, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely.
But before we get going, you did mention to me in the green room that you started Hard 75 about a week ago, correct?
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, that involves I don't want to say diet, but there's an eating component to this Hard 75 program, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what is the structure for the eating component of the Hard 75? Because I'm unaware of it completely.
So the eating component, you do have to stick to a diet, but it can be anything. It can be paleo, it can be keto, it can be carnivore, it can be plant-based, it can be Atkins. I mean, whatever you want, you can choose, but you have to stick to it, and you can't do cheat meals. So
what's the diet lifestyle you've chosen for yourself? Because
I've chosen plant-based.
Okay.
I've been plant-based before, and I fell off. I've done it several times throughout the years, and it works well with my body and just how I feel. So I've gone back to plant-based.
Perfect. So my first question is this: you go to a cookout, grilling, barbecue, whatever you want to call it. You got to bring a side. What's the side that you're going to be bringing? And your choices are baked beans, pasta salad, macaroni salad, or potato salad.
I would bring baked beans.
Why
selfishly, and just because I just think of summer when I think of baked beans. I mean, the other ones are summer food too, but I like baked beans, actually. I kind of do.
You just finish your next Ironman or your next Ironman 70.3, and the meal choices presented to you are a burrito, real good pizza, not like, I'm sorry, Domino's, and I apologize to Little Caesars, but like real good pizza from a local pizza joint, or burgers. Which one are you choosing?
Oh, hands down pizza. I love pizza. Absolutely. With pineapple.
No! I feel like that meme. I'm not going to lie. She had me in the first half, and then...
I know. I gotcha. But actually, I would like pineapple on it. I love pineapple on my pizza. I know you do too, so much. For those watching, well, you could tell them, Jason, how you feel about pineapple. How do you feel about pineapple on pizza, Jason?
Trust me, if they're watching this show and it's not the first time, they know. Like, pardon my French, but that shit does not belong on pizza. At least not mine. Like, I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's the best thing you've ever eaten. But if you serve it to me, it's going in the garbage. I'd rather go hungry.
Oh my gosh. That's intense.
It just does not belong there. Like I say this to Ohm often. So actually, let me ask you, pineapple on pizza is a yay from you, but does it have to have other components?
Like, does the pizza have to have other components?
Yes. So do you have to have pineapple and jalapeno, pineapple and ham, pineapple and something, or can you go straight?
I'll just eat a pineapple with some sauce.
All right, I got all the respect in the world for you. I always laugh when people say to me, "Oh, I love pineapple on pizza, but it has to have jalapenos or it has to have
Oh,
ham or Canadian bacon." I'm like, then you don't really like pineapple on pizza. Like you like it with other things.
right, right.
But by the way, I do love pineapple. When we finished Tahoe 200, they brought me some pizza and a cup of pineapple on the side to facilitate the joke because they knew I wasn't going to put it actually
That's
on the pizza.
so funny. But you'll eat it separately.
I love pineapple. I
Oh, I
absolutely
don't
love.
think I realized that. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, I
Mhm.
mean, give me all the Dole pineapple rings, give me all the chunks. We
Mhm.
actually have a bucket of pineapple in our refrigerator right now. Like, I love pineapple, but not
Not on
on,
pizza.
but definitely not on pizza. Like, you were
Okay.
just in Italy. Did you
Mhm.
walk into the pizza shops in Italy and be like, "Hey, can I get some pineapple on my pizza?"
No, I would not do that. I would not.
If this was a court of law, I'd say, "Your Honor, I rest my case." So yesterday we interviewed Chantel Erickson and I asked her favorite ice cream flavor. And she said to me that she really loves Earl Grey ice cream. And it recently I have become infatuated with London Fogs, which are just nothing more than an Earl Grey latte. What's your take on Earl Grey ice cream or a London Fog?
I've honestly never had it, but I would absolutely try it. Yeah.
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 Make your way to the coffee shop here, right after we get off of this show and order yourself a
Mhm.
London Fog. It's glorious. Like I love it mid-afternoon, 3 o'clock. It's
Mhm.
perfect.
Mhm.
What is your favorite ice cream? I know I believe we've talked about this.
I don't even know what I said before. Oh, okay, I have two. Well, I might have said Tin Roof Sundae before, but then I don't know if that exists anymore. That's from the 80s. Um, in Italy, I had pistachio gelato, maybe more than once.
The other day we were walking out of Sprouts, this is probably a couple of weeks ago, and there was this dude, didn't get a shopping bag, just had 2 pints of gelato on the conveyor belt at the grocery store. One was coffee chip gelato, and the other one was
Mhm.
mint chip gelato. And we walked out behind him, and I said loudly from behind, I said, "Not all heroes wear capes." And he turned around to look at me, and I was like, any person who's walking out of a grocery store with 2 pints of ice cream that are mint chip gelato and coffee chip gelato is a superhero, dude. And he just started
Totally.
laughing.
I would have too. That's true though. And both of
Right?
those flavors, those are good.
Like he went to the grocery store. There's a
Yeah.
million products out there, right? He could have
Yep.
gotten bread, milk, cheese, whatever. He
Yep.
literally walked out with 2 pints of ice cream, and I was like, "That's my guy."
Awesome. He knew what he wanted.
Exactly. You mentioned Snickers earlier. Would you put Snickers at the top of the list for your favorite candy bar then?
Oh, it is the top. Yes. Yep.
Have you had
Mhm.
the Snickers ice cream bar?
I think I have, but it's been so many years. It
All right.
sounds delicious. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to start making rules for guests. Like, if you tell me you love Snickers, then you're gonna have to go get a Snickers ice cream bar before you come on the next episode to chat, so that
Oh,
we can reminisce about how awesome it is.
it sounds amazing.
Just don't put it in the back of your cycling jersey while you're out there in 100-degree weather and have it
I
melt.
would, that would be a hot mess. After the race. That'll be with the pizza.
Is there a food? Is there a food that you eat, whether consistently or you've only done it once, that you, without doubt, have somehow managed to wear more of it than actually consume it?
Oh, gosh, what did I just spill on myself the other day? I really did. I think it was my nice cream since I'm plant-based. I, I make nice cream out of bananas and cocoa powder and almond milk at night for my treat. And I was wearing a white tank top and it was all the way.
Did you just ignore it and just keep going in? Like,
Yeah,
fuck it.
yeah. One of my kids saw it. I forget. One of my daughters, they're like, "Oh, really, mom?" Like, yeah. Do you want to try some of my nice cream? It's delicious.
Here, you can wring it out of my shirt.
Yeah. I did, yeah, because then I had to go like put OxyClean on my white shirt and yeah.
We have Tide pens all over this apartment, like in every corner of the house, because without fail, I'm gonna wear something at some point. The one thing that regardless of how careful I try to be, I end up with it either all over my face, all over my shirt, is Cliff Mocha gels. Have you ever tried those?
No, I
Yeah, so
haven't. No.
it's the Cliff shots,
Yeah.
and it's like, I don't know, I think 50 milligrams of caffeine, like, and it tastes so good. But for some reason, that's the one package I can't handle. And so when I'm trying to rip it open, it just sprays everywhere. And it's just like the 4-year-old kid who's just housing the ice cream, right? Doesn't even look like he used a spoon. Shit's everywhere. It's sticky.
It's so funny. I want to get one of these now. I want to try this gel.
If you can get it in, it's fantastic. It's a great energy boost. But
Yeah.
chances are you're going to be like wiping it off your face and then licking your hands, which is kind of gross if you think about it, right? Because you've just been
Yeah.
running for 3 or 4 hours and you got shit
Yeah.
all over you.
It probably looks like an ice cream Snickers bar on your face.
Awesome. Jennifer, thank you so much. For those of you that joined us late, this will be on the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network on wherever you get your podcasts on Wednesday of next week, which I believe is July 3rd. Unfortunately, today's not June 24th because I could just add 7 and get the math right, but now I have to guess that it's July 3rd. So Wednesday, July 3rd. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining me. I have a blast every time we talk. You make me think, you inspire me, you motivate me, and I know you do that for our audience. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's always fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye.